So, hi everybody and welcome back to the Unreal Engine 5 full game tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 19 and in this video we continue with our game, but before that let's watch how much time I have left. I said I will be finished before this mega jam here starts, and it starts in 2 days and 9 hours, which is not that much. Let's see if I finish this game till there, with release of course. All right, so I hope you joined to this mega jam here and try to create a game there, a full game as well with release on itch.io, and later you can release it in other places as well. And enough talk about this, and now let's continue with our game. Before we continue, all time our overview so that we know where we are. Here is my very simple overview. Here we finished our main menu widget. Now we dive into the widget, into the gameplay here. And in the gameplay section, I created this one. I have now expand this a little bit because I need a new block as well. And you can see we started with this level design last video. And now I need a player character as well and set up this player character. But in level design, I made a little arrow, but not really an arrow, it's more like a setup. So first of all, I already set up here a little bit, and we are going to do this. First of all, let's start from the start point. The start point is we go to our main menu, save selected, and when I press here, that we know at this point that when we start play, it opens up the map. Here I already created something, but I show you what I have here and how we go there. So, okay, this is working. Then we go to our player map. I click now my the last time created map. That was our gameplay map and the gameplay game mode. So, what I have to change here is, and I forget to tell you that when I go here on top, and here are shapes, and you select one of the shapes here. Let's select this time the shape because I want to change the character which we are going to create in this one. The problem with this shape is this shape here is these base shapes here are engine provided base shapes, which means if you are using this kind of shape, you are actually using an engine provided shape, which is when we go here, for example, browse to asset. When you go to browse to asset here, then you can see the engine content pops up, and we are actually in the engine place, and we don't want that. And the reason for that is because most time this engine, I'm not sure, but I think the engine content will be excluded later on when you build and package your game. So what you want to do is, if you do kind stuff like that, what I did, and you want to use a sphere, for example, I want to use this sphere here, let's select this one, then you can just click this one and create a folder in your game folder. For example, in my game I created a static mesh folder there, and just copy it there. So I drag and drop it from here to here, static mesh, and I say copy here. And that you can do with the cube as well, because we used the cube last time and I forgot to tell you that, but now you know it. And then in your static mesh, then you have here these cubes. You can see there are no materials right now assigned as well. So if you want the material, this white material, you could make, or you just create your own material, or you import your own material. But let's finish just the core things. So that's that, and this cube I will use as well to change here my player character for demonstration purposes. The next thing is I just deleted the floor. That's why you see here no floor on the ground. And yeah, we need that was so our setup from last time a little bit. So last time we just set up this two has walls and the next thing what I changed here as well is just set the let's say just scale the I think that the y-axis here to 0.01, and the reason for that is I make it just look like thin. All right, that's it. So there is nothing more on. This is really when I play here, start playing, you can see that's so really the absolute basics what I can set up here. It's not, of course, you have to design it later, but like I said, we concentrate us on first to the absolute minimum basics and how we set up now this one, especially this character here. We are going to set up now this character and how we do this. First of all, before we go on, we know we set up a player, we created last game this player start, and where you set up the player start, there the character will spawn. But to make it spawn here, of course, we have to create a player's character or the pawn, and we have set it up properly that it's automatically spawning here. So this kind of stuff we are doing right now. So first of all, we are creating, let's go to our overview and say it again. We finished this level design a little bit, and now we go to the player character, right? All right, we jump there and we are doing this one now. So how we do this? First of all, we go here to our game folder and create a character folder. That's easy. After you created a character folder, right click. I already created this one, but I recreated from scratch to show you this, and here I called it test, and now we make it a real name. So you go here in your character folder, right click on top to blueprint class. You could choose theoretically both here, the pawn and character, but let's select character. Because character just inherited all things of pawn and has just a little bit more a movement component as well, and we don't have to use it if we don't want. We can, but in this case, let's just make it. It's perhaps not necessary to use here a character because this cube what I use here is just a pawn, but whatever. Okay, we can use that. So let's call this perhaps blueprint. I call it BP character, player character, or something like player. Yeah, player. Make it player character. Okay, this is my blueprint player character, and we open this one up. We dock it on the top. And here is the test character, here's the game mode which we have to set up. So before we go on and do something in our player character, we do something with our game mode, which I have also to set up. First of all, we are here in this map, it's our gameplay map. Then you go here to the game mode, because I set most things up in the game mode. And then I click here and open up my game mode, which is my gameplay mode, which is for this one. And last time we set up only this part here, which is just get all actors of class, and we get here the camera component, and we said that we want to use this camera here, and that's the setup. I don't know, perhaps there is a better solution than this one, but I just use this one here. And now we have set up one more thing, which is this one. And what we do is I show you this here instead of yes, let's click it here so you can follow it easier. So what we do is just set up the mouse input as well. So what you do is first get player controller. Where's that controller? So get the player controller. This is all time the default player controller here, because I have not created a new one. So we are just using the default player controller till we need something customizable. Right now I don't need anything, that's why I use it. And later, if I need something customizable, I can yes, create one, but right now no. All right, so and then we set here just this node here. We find this node here which is set input, and I think I set it here UI game and UI. Okay, we can use it, but of course you can change your defense or what you really need. Perhaps you don't need a UI, so just game. And yeah, it depends on your need. If you set game and UI, you can even go out and click here stop. If you don't set game and UI, so let's say if you set just game, you can have here different kind of set input game only, for example. If you set this one, game only, it will just that you can't go out here of the game here with the mouse. That's why I set it at start, at least on this one, and then you can set here some locking of the mouse and test this also. And right now I said do not lock, which means I can go out here of this one. Let me show you what I mean with that. When I start here, now, because I have not locked the mouse, I can go here on top. You can see I can go here and press stop here. If I would lock now the mouse here, do not lock, let's say I lock here. Do not lock, lock in the... lock always. Let's make lock always. For example, and I start here. Now I can't go out here. You can see I can't go on top. And that's annoying. That's why I make this, at least for development purposes here. Later you can change this if you release it, for example, to lock. Right now, do not lock, and it's okay. All right, so we set this to this one, this node. And then one more node from the gameplay controller. What I want is show mouse cursor. I won't show the mouse cursor, so it is not appearing because I want to use it. And if I use later for mobile, of course, I don't show mouse cursor because we are using touch. But this one is a release for desktop, and later I change it for mobile separately, so not in this at the same time here. So that's why here set mouse, and we say show mouse here so that we can see this one, which means compile save. Then you have here something like that, so you can see the mouse. Normally when you do when you are not doing this kind of stuff, your mouse is disappearing, right? That's why we have to set up this one. And exactly this one I did here on top, it's the same thing. And we do this, of course, in the game mode. Now I did it. Let's change the color. It's done. And then we have this here in our game mode. That means that will set up at start when the gameplay starts, because when I press play, the game mode is starting, and game mode begin play is starting, and it will do this mouse setup as well. Good. Then the game mode is finished. Perfect. Then we go here and go. Now we can click this away because we have set up this. The next thing, oh, I forgot one thing. Sorry. I have to go open up game mode again, because I want that the game mode is using now a default pawn, because like I said, the default pawn will exactly spawn where the player start here is, right? So I need set up a proper default pawn for this case, which means we have to create one. And now I created one, right? We created here a character, and I want that the game mode which I'm using should use this one as a default pawn, so it is spawning exactly at this point here where I set the player start. That's very easy done, because you go here to the game mode, select here class settings here. And in class settings, you can see we have again here this classes. And interesting is here you have here more options than here, I think. Because here you can't set here default pawn. You can set it. Okay. But you anyway, that's not so important. And then you can set it here as well too. So here normally I set it here all the time, but outside you can change the default pawn. That's also nice. Here is the default pawn section, and here I already set it, and here I change it now to the new created class, the player, which I want to use, which is this one here. So let's do this and change it. Where's the default pawn? Here is the default pawn, and now I use BP player character. All right, compile, save, and now when I start, you will see nothing. And the reason for that is because I changed my character, but we have not set up the character. So we have to set up now the character. And by the way, of course, you have to set up here this this two walls again, and camera, and so on. So with the level design, we did this a little bit, and of course this is just a bare bone level design, which means you have to do it later, optimize it and add perhaps stuff and so on. This kind of stuff, we have it. So we concentrate now more on this player setup right now. All right, so the player setup will spawn exactly at this point here. which means I have to create this player more. So what I need here, I need a presentation of this player. So we can go here to the mesh. Here is a skeletal mesh. But actually I have not a skeletal mesh, but I can just add anything like a presentation. And what I do is just simple, I select here on top and add just a static mesh. Of course, you can import or create a skeletal mesh as well, but when you create here a static mesh, then you can just add, for example, a static mesh, or you can add even other things like a billboard, a 2D paper, or anything like a visual representation. But I make the static mesh because it's very simple and straightforward and fast without thinking too much. So now I have the static mesh, and the static mesh needs, when you go to your static mesh folder, anything what you have imported, and you can see I have now two options. This time I want to use this ball here, which means I go and you can see here one more node. You can see here a lot of static meshes now, and the problem here is the engine is showing the content here as well, because here you can see it is here activated. You can deactivate this one. How we deactivate this kind of stuff? You go here on the right side to settings, and then you go here in this content and say show engine content, don't show engine content. If you deactivate this, you can see now it's only showing your content, no engine content, and this one will now show also only your content, no engine content. And that means these two static meshes are available for your use. And why is this so important? Because like I said, we want not use engine content, because later when we package or so, then this engine content should be excluded, which means not included in your package. And we can specify that anyhow. And that's why we have to use only the content which is in our own game content. That's very important. All right, so with that said, you can see now your own content here. And I use this sphere. Okay, and the sphere is very nice. We can compile and test it if this is working already. When I start, yes, there is a sphere now instead of a cube. And now we have to, you can scale it, you can keep it if you like it, depends. Yeah, I think anyhow the camera is not so good, right? Let's see if I adjust this. I don't know. Let's go here. Yeah, let's make it. So anyway, we have here the sphere, and now we have, I think that's enough for my character actually. Of course you can get here material again, you can do so much with this character, and as a designer and optimization and so on, but for our absolute minimum that's perfect. I continue with the functionality because I don't waste now too much time. So that's my player character. Instead of a cube I use the sphere now. All right, so we are going already. Of course you can create materials and so on, but yeah, later we go already on scripting. So what we want to do now, my goal is now, like I showed you before, when I clicked it I jump there and there, but before I do this I think I make here a break, because this functionality takes a lot of time. There is much to tell. That's why we stop here this video and then go to the next video where we jump into the player functionality. We have to talk a lot in there. So if you have any questions or any complaints, like all time, write it in the comments. And like all time, don't give up, have fun, and yeah, bye.